Hey, this is Peter and welcome to another Take a Break with Valley CAD. Have you ever had it to where you imported a IGES step or an STL file into SOLIDWORKS and everything's looking good and you did import diagnostics and it still said that there's gaps or maybe there's a corrupt surface or face in the geometry, right? And you sit there and go, man, what the heck am I gonna do? Well, in this video, I'm gonna give you a little tip on how to work with some geometry that might have some like jagged faces in it. It might be a little bit hard to work with and you sit there and you kind of start overanalyzing it. I'm gonna give you some really simple tips and tricks to kind of work around that thing. So go get your favorite cup of coffee or tea and I'll see you in SOLIDWORKS in just a click. Hey there, welcome to SOLIDWORKS. So I'm gonna come in and open up an IGES file. And by the way, I'm gonna have the same file in the comments or the description down below. Simply click on that, download it, click on the link, we'll send that over to you. But it's a simple IGES file. And from there, once you have it, go and open it. Now, my SOLIDWORKS system settings, I have it set up to where I get a window that says, do you wish to run import diagnostics on this part? Some of you might have that turned off because you got tired of seeing that. Honestly, I keep mine on all the time. That run import diagnostics is actually a very powerful tool. If you work with geometry that was translated from another file type into SOLIDWORKS and it didn't translate all the faces or the gaps properly, your file is gonna be kind of corrupt. And once again, I'm doing air quotes on it because it's not truly corrupt, but by doing this, it might take longer for SOLIDWORKS to translate the file each time you open it, actually. And also, if you import it into a drawing, SOLIDWORKS will always make that drawing view into a draft mode as well. So it's really crucial to just run in and do import diagnostics. So by import diagnostics here, it's saying that I have one faulty face, which is this one right here, okay. And then it says that I have 44 gaps, obviously, right? That's looking pretty bad. And then another gap here. Okay, not too bad, but let's see if SOLIDWORKS can heal this for me, right? And I'm crossing my fingers that it's gonna fix all that, right? All right, so we're gonna say attempt to heal all. SOLIDWORKS is gonna come in, it's gonna go, hey, I found that face, I was having an issue, I'll fix it for you. Great. Now, but as we look at this, that is pretty complex for SOLIDWORKS to be able to translate. So we're gonna have to come in and do the process for SOLIDWORKS. Now, I'm gonna show you two ways of doing this. One way might be a little bit longer than the other way, but they'll still give you the same output on there. Okay, so coming in, first of all, what I like to do is switch it so that instead of being in shaded mode only, I like to be in shaded with edges mode. The reason why I work in that sort of view type is it allows me to see where I have geometry that's knitting to each other and where geometry has open gaps. And so I know I have open gaps because these edges kind of have a blue tint to them as compared to a black edge here. And whenever I see blue edges, that's saying, hey, you're working with surface geometry. And by the way, that's what I see in my design tree as well, saying surface bodies there. And so that's how it allows me to see what sort of geometry am I working with here. Okay, so a lot of times when people come in and they see a geometry that's kind of really broken up like this, I know when I first learned about this, I would just go into a cold sweat and just go, what am I supposed to do with that, right? So that's where this video comes in and hopefully can help out a little bit. So before I get rocking in this, what I would like to do is actually come in and I'll hover over this circular face and push tab. So this is where, people kind of freak out. They see a complex set of edges and faces, and so then they come into their brain and try to overcomplicate it themselves, right? Well, what I would like to do here is that the first scenario that I might do is use this thing called a delete face command. So you'll see I'm under my surfaces tab, and from here you'll see delete face. Clicking on that, delete face, it's a pretty powerful tool. You could come in here and you could click on all the geometry you want to delete, every single face that you might feel like deleting, okay? And so as I'm doing this, dude, this is taking quite a few clicks. You know, I could come in and kind of use that selection tool, but that grabbed a little bit more than I thought it would. Oh man, yeah, this is taking a lot of clicks, right? And so you come in around, okay, all right, yeah, there's that one. Oh, there's that little one there too. Oh man, this is kind of dumb, right? Well, here's what I would rather do. Instead of coming through and clicking on all that stuff, oh, forget that. I'll just simply look at it from a side view. And since I don't have any geometry living out here, I'll just simply do a window like that. SOLIDWORKS is going to come through and it's going to translate or like try to grab all this geometry for me. Okay, so it looks like it grabbed everything there, but it missed this face and also this one here. And then from there, I'll simply say okay to that. And now we'll come through and delete all of that geometry. Okay, so I'm gonna take some liberty here and go, okay, this little surface that was living out here, by the way, I'm gonna hover over and push Shift Tab in that general area so I can see that surface body. So looking at this, I'm gonna use the measure command and go, okay, from here to here, that's at 30 millimeters. Okay, from here to here, also 30 millimeters. All right, cool. So with it being 30 millimeters, I could just simply come in and extend this up to here, right? But as I look at this surface, let's just analyze it a little bit more. You'll see as I hover over an edge, SOLIDWORKS is showing us has half of an edge there and the other half. Okay, that's gonna make it a little bit hard, like to do like a loft or a boundary surface on it. That's just gonna be a little complicated. And like I could try doing a filled surface maybe. So I'll come up here, click on that edge. Okay, that fills that in. If I come up here and click on this one, yeah, it's not gonna grab it. So what I would have to do here is actually, I'm gonna ignore this surface altogether. And then what I'm gonna do is actually mirror this geometry onto the other side. So I'm gonna come in and simply do a delete keep body. That little surface there, simply delete it. I don't need it anymore. I know it got imported in with the model, but doesn't mean you have to keep it. So I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna use this thing called an offset surface command. So offset surface there, come through, click on this face and this face. You'll see that SOLIDWORKS is coming in and adding a 10 millimeter offset. Okay, well guess what? In SOLIDWORKS, you can make it a 0 value. Okay, sweet. So by doing that, SOLIDWORKS will come in and it'll make it to where I have two separate bodies. But this body that I made, and by the way, I'm just gonna hold tab or tap it, and now it'll hide my main body there so I could just see this one here. Coming back over it, I'm gonna simply push Shift Tab to bring this body back. And as I look at my model, see my origin is bisecting my model. So that's really convenient because I can use my primary planes so I can mirror that new body to the other side. So we're gonna come up here and we're gonna activate the Features tab. From Features, we're gonna come over to the Mirror command. And from Mirror, what I'm gonna use is my right plane. In this scenario, I'm gonna say Body Smear. So I could come in and click on the body in the graphics area, or I could expand out my Surface Bodies folder and I could select that Surface Offsets body if I want to. From there, I can say Knit Surfaces and I say Merge Results. But you might see something pop up there. Yeah, SOLIDWORKS is mad at me. It's saying, hey, that's not happening. Well, you might be looking at that going, well, why not? Knit surfaces, that's like, I want to mirror to knit it over. Yes, that is what you want to do, but unfortunately, that knit surfaces only works when it's a body coming over and touching the other body. So it's not touching the original body, so that's why it's not gonna work. So I'm gonna uncheck those two items, and you're gonna see that SOLIDWORKS is okay again. So now from there, what I could simply do is take this first surface offset there. I could say delete keep bodies from that as well. So I use the delete keep body all the time. So that body's selected and delete it. Then from there, that way it gets me back to only having two solids. I could come up to my surfaces command. And then from there, utilize the knit surface, come through, grab all these items here, say create solid, merge entities on it, and then say okay to that. And now we'll be coming in and creating a solid geometry like so. Not too shabby, right? But let's look at another way that we can make this work. And I'm just gonna use my rollback bar to go back in time to show how this looked when I first imported it. All right, so looking at this here, you know, that delete face command that we used originally, yeah, that works, but I'd rather come in and do something a little bit easier than that. And I want to try to utilize my existing geometry as much as possible. Because, I didn't come through and measure what the diameter of this was compared to that side. I just kind of quickly willy-nilly did it, right? Well, what I would actually do this time is I would come in and do a trim command. Yeah, so if I come through here and utilize my front plane, I could come up here and activate sketch command and simply just draw a simple line coming down like so. And we'll just make it so it's vertical. I'm not gonna worry about where it's located. You could definitely do that if you want to, but ultimately what I need to do is make sure it's not crossing over any of the low points here. Okay, so that's your most critical part about this trim function. Okay, so I know that I'm down below the edges all the way around on this thing. If you want to, you could give it a dimension. Just make it so it's not gonna totally lop off this entire cylinder. From there, simply say okay to that. So with sketch number 1 selected, we could simply come up to my surfaces command, and then from here, use the trim surfaces. With trim surfaces selected, I want to remove sections that I'm doing a standard trim. And by the way, I did a video several weeks ago talking about the trim command, and it's using a standard trim, by the way. So on this side of my trim tool, I want to grab those set of faces. Now, since all these little facets are connected to this one body, it's going to grab all those and simply delete them all at once. And since I left my existing cylinder here, what I can do with this existing ring is I could come in and say, let's extend surface. So with that pre-selected there, I can say let's go up a distance, I can say up to a point, or I can say up to surface. Well, in this scenario, I want to go up to that surface and simply say okay to that. Now, if you remember when we came in and we worked with this original cylinder that we had, or that little face, it only had it had 2 edges on it. So I don't really want to work with that because it's gonna just kind of be a bear to work with, because it's gonna continually keep this as 2 separate edges that make up that circle. So, and that, once again, that's just how it got translated in. So what I would rather do here is do a delete keep body, and I'll just simply delete that body away. That way it makes this into a clean ring all the way around. Then I could say, hey, let's come up here. We could do a filled surface or a planar surface on that. Simply click on this edge, right click. You'll see here that it's still not knitted because I see 2 separate bodies here, and also I see blue showing up around that ring. So we'll simply come up to knit. We'll create solid, merge entities as well. Click on these 2 bodies and say okay to that. And then now we'll come in and also make a solid part for us. So hopefully you enjoyed seeing how I might come at looking at a model that might get translated kind of weird inside of SOLIDWORKS, or it was a bad IGES or step file to begin with that got translated or sent to you. It happens, especially with more complex parts. The more complex the faces on there or facets, the more likely a face or a gap might go into place. So using that import diagnostics tool, super powerful, I can't stress enough. Please use that tool. Then after that, if you still have some gaps or faces that are kind of being buggers, hey, go in there. You now know 2 different ways to delete faces, or you can just do a standard trim tool on a surface geometry and extend it out, and then do your normal patching operations there as well. And also use that file that we provided in a link for you. It's great practice on there. All right. So once again, my name is Peter. I really appreciate you taking time to watch these videos. If you are enjoying these videos, please click that thumbs up button. Also click subscribe so you get notified for future Take a Break videos and also other videos that we are posting here at Valley CAD. Have a great rest of the day and make sure you learn something new.